The stars outside the spaceship window looked calm, but inside Nova Dawn the air was full of tension and wonder. Lieutenant Jason Reed stood near the front viewing deck, staring at the glowing green planet below. It was called Elleranine, a newly discovered world. Strange signals had been coming from this planet for months, signals no one could decode. Jason was not a soldier. He was a xenolinguist, someone trained to study alien languages and behavior. His job was not to fight, but to understand. "Going in," said Commander Brandt over the intercom. "Survey team, gear up!" Jason smiled. This was the moment he had trained for. He grabbed his field pack, adjusted his translator device, and walked to the shuttle bay. For others joined him, including 2 Marines, a scientist, and a pilot. Jason's role? Make first contact. The shuttle flew down through green clouds and landed in a glowing valley. The sky was purple, and the trees looked like crystals. The land felt alive. The team spread out, taking readings. Jason's scanner picked up a faint energy signal, far different from anything Earth had seen before. "Lieutenant Reed," the scientist called out. "We're getting strange energy fluctuate." "What's that?" Suddenly, a bright light flashed. In the sky, a solar flare from Elleranine's twin suns erupted. Jason covered his face. Winds howled. The ground shook. When it stopped, Jason looked around and realized he was alone. "Commander," he called into his com. Nothing. Only static. He walked forward, deeper into the valley. The plants seemed to glow with every step. Then he heard a soft hum, like music. It led him to a clearing surrounded by giant silver trees. At its center stood someone. She was tall, elegant, and glowing slightly. Her skin shimmered like moonlight. Her long silver hair moved gently in the air, though there was no wind. Her eyes bright blue like twin stars locked onto his dot. Jason froze. She was unlike anything he had seen. Alien, yes, but also beautiful. She tilted her head. "You're not like the others," she said softly, in perfect English. Jason blinked. "You speak my language." She smiled. "Your words are easy to feel. Your thoughts are loud." Jason took a cautious step forward. "I'm Lieutenant Jason Reed, from Earth."
I know.
She replied. "I am Arya, emissary of the Orcs. This world is our home." Jason looked amazed. "Why are you here alone? I was waiting," she said, "for someone who listens." He felt her words more than heard them. Her voice was soft but powerful, like a calm wave that touched his mind. He realized she didn't just speak, she connected. Jason tried to stay professional, but curiosity got the better of him. "Why did your people send those signals?" "To warn you," Arya replied. "Some humans search for power, not peace. But you ask questions. That's rare." Jason chuckled. "That's my job. Ask things. Learn things." She took a step closer. "Then ask." He paused. The air between them felt strange, warm, and full of energy. His heart beat faster. He smiled nervously and joked, "All right. If I kissed you, how? Would you react?" Arya blinked, then smiled slowly. She stepped even closer. "You would not survive my answer." Jason's smile faded. He wasn't sure if she was joking or serious. Before he could speak again, she gently touched his cheek. The moment her fingers met his skin, he felt a spark. Not pain, just a rush of warmth, like a deep memory returning. A flash of light filled his vision. For a second, he saw stars, ancient temples, and voices singing in a language he didn't understand. Then it was gone. He gasped and stumbled back. "What was that?" "A glimpse," Arya said, "of what we are, of what you could be." Jason was speechless. "You asked how I would react," she said. "Now you know." Jason looked at her, eyes wide. "That was impossible." She smiled gently. "Not impossible, just not human." He looked down at his hand, still feeling a warm glow. "What are you?" "We are the Orcs," she said. "Keepers of balance. Our kind once reached far stars. We found love, danger, and loss. Now we watch. We wait until someone worthy arrives. Jason laughed nervously. And you think, ... that's me? I don't know yet, she replied. But your question, your joke it, opened something. He shook his head. I was just trying to lighten the moment. Arya stepped closer again. Even light things carry weight in deep places. Jason looked at her, really looked. Not just as a scientist or a human, but as someone seeing a whole new world in one person. She was peaceful, powerful, and full of mystery. He didn't know what would happen next. Then her face turned serious. Others are coming. Some may not understand. Must decide who you are before they decide for you. Jason nodded slowly. Will I see you again? She touched her chest, then his. If your heart remains open, ... yes. And then she walked into the glowing trees, her body fading into light. Jason stood there, breathless. His cum crackled back. To life? Lieutenant Reed, do you copy? He pressed his earpiece. I'm here. Where were you? The voice asked. Jason looked at the forest where Arya had gone. He whispered, I met someone. And for the first time in his life, he didn't have the words to explain what he had just seen. Jason Reed sat inside the mobile science tent, still thinking about what had happened in the glowing forest. The others on the team had returned safely after the solar flare passed, but Jason didn't tell them everything. He just said he got lost for a while. He didn't mention Arya, not yet. The memory of her soft voice and glowing eyes stayed in his mind. Her words, you wouldn't survive my answer, echoed like a song in his head. He had only joked about a kiss, but her reply wasn't a joke. It was a warning, or maybe a secret. Late at night, when everyone was asleep, Jason walked out of the camp with a small scanner and flashlight. He followed the same trail he had taken before, hoping to see her again. He didn't know if it was a smart idea, but something inside him told him it was the right thing. The forest was quiet. The trees glowed faintly, and the air felt warm and peaceful. As Jason moved deeper, he heard the same hum again, the soft, musical sound that had led him to her before, and then she was there. Arya stood beside a silver tree watching him. She didn't speak. She only smiled. Jason stepped forward. I wasn't sure if I'd find you again. You didn't find me, she said gently. You were called. Jason tilted his head. By who? Arya pointed to the trees. By the world. Eliaranine is alive. It knows who steps with open heart. Jason looked around. The trees, they seemed to respond to touch, like they're aware. They are, Arya said. Everything here is part of a balance. Life, light, energy, even thought. Jason took out his scanner. That explains the energy patterns I saw. They were more like brain waves than electric signals. Arya nodded. We are Thayer-born connected to this world. It shapes us, guides us. Jason looked at her carefully. Your people, do they all look like you? No, she replied. I am shaped to meet your kind. The Orthe change form to speak across hearts. Jason was surprised. So you don't really look like this. Do now, she said, smiling, because it helps. You listen. Jason smiled back. He couldn't deny it, he was drawn to her. But it wasn't just her beauty, it was something deeper. Her presence made him feel calm, but also curious. Can I ask something strange? He said. You already have, she teased. Jason laughed. Fair enough. But I mean, I don't understand why I feel this pull toward you. Is it something you're doing? Arya looked serious. No, but I feel it too. That's why I came. Jason looked into her glowing eyes. You said before that if I kissed you, it would change everything. What did you mean? Arya walked closer and held out her hand. Jason hesitated, then took it. It felt warm, like sunlight. Suddenly his mind filled with images, not just pictures, but feelings. He saw stars being born, oceans rising, 2 figures standing on a mountain under 3 moons. He didn't know how, but one of them was him. When he opened his eyes, he was shaking. What was that? He whispered. A glimpse of possibility, Arya said softly. Our kind once shared with others, deep bonds. But one bond went too far. A kiss awakened a force that nearly destroyed this world. Jason stepped back. You're saying a kiss did all that? Was not just a kiss, she said. It was a connection. When two spirits fully align, something greater is born. Power, light, or danger. Jason sat down on a stone. His mind was spinning. So you're afraid of it happening again? Yes, Arya said. But I also wonder, what if this time it saves us instead? Jason looked up at her. Us. There is something coming, she said. Shadow in space. My people feel it. We've been preparing. But we cannot stop it alone. Jason stood again. So that's why you sent the signal. She nodded. We sent a call to those who feel, not those who conquer. You answered. Jason took a deep breath. I'm not a hero, Arya. I'm just a guy who studies languages. You understand more than you think, she replied. And you ask with heart? That is rare. Jason smiled, touched. You're full of mysteries. So are you, she said. That's why I'm here. Suddenly, both of their translators buzzed. Jason's wrist lit up. Lieutenant Reed returned to camp immediately. We have incoming ships, Earth Command. Once a full report. Jason looked at Arya. They're here for you, aren't they? She looked into the sky. Some will want to take. They always do. Jason shook his head. I won't let them hurt you. You may not have a choice, Arya said. But you have a voice. Use it. Jason reached out. Will I see you again? Arya touched his fingers. Yes, but next time we may both have to decide what we're willing to risk. Then she stepped back into the glowing trees and vanished once more. Jason stood alone under the alien sky. His heart beat fast. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew. Something big was coming, and he knew one thing for sure. He would protect her. Whatever it took. Jason Reed stood in front of the command tent on El Arin, feeling the pressure rise. The senior officers had arrived from orbit. Their faces were hard. Their questions were sharper. Who is this alien girl you saw? Commander Brandt asked. Jason kept calm. Her name is Arya. She's part of a race called the Oratha. She's peaceful, intelligent. She helped me when I got lost. The commander frowned, and she just spoke perfect English. You expect us to believe that? Nodded. She understands more than just language. She connects with thought, emotion. Her people are advanced far beyond us. Dr. Helena Vaughn, the science chief, leaned forward. We picked up a massive energy spike after your contact. Are you sure she's not manipulating you? Jason didn't answer right away. Thought about Arya's touch, her voice, the vision. She shared, was it real or something more? I'm sure she's not a threat, he said at last. But she did warn me. Something dangerous is coming from deep space. She didn't say what, but her people feel it. Commander Brandt crossed his arms. We're not here to chase alien fairy tales. We're here to study, report, and protect Earth interests. If these Orathe hold knowledge or power, we need to control it before someone else does. Jason's chest tightened. She's not a thing to control. She's a person, Brandt glared. That's not your call, Lieutenant. Now take a team and show us where you saw her. Jason had no choice but to obey. Later that day, they moved through the glowing forest. The trees shimmered as before, but this time, Jason noticed something different. Colors dimmed when the soldiers walked past. The ground pulsed under their boots. The planet itself didn't like their presence. They reached the silver clearing. But Arya was not there. She won't come, Jason said, not with guns pointed at her. Dr. Vaughn scanned the area. There's something here. This soylit's not normal. There's living energy in the rocks. Jason knelt beside a crystal flower. This world is part of the Orathe. Their lives, minds, and the planet are linked. Suddenly, the ground vibrated. A blue mist rose from the roots of the trees, circling the group. Weapons were raised. Hold fire. Jason shouted then. A voice filled the air, not loud, not angry, but calm and clear. Put down your arms. You are not here to harm. Everyone turned. Arya stood between the trees, her silver skin glowing brighter than ever. Her eyes met Jason's first. "You brought them," she said softly. Jason stepped forward. "I didn't have a choice. They're scared." Arya looked at the others. "Fear leads to damage. Always." Dr. Vaughn stepped toward her. "You can speak directly into our minds. It's how you understand us." Arya nodded. "Feel. Intent. Thought. Feeling. Your machines cannot measure these things, but we can." Commander Brandt raised an arm.
"Why did you send signals to Earth?" Arya turned to him. "Because the stars are changing. A wave is coming. A darkness that feeds on light, on life. You will not face it alone." Jason asked. "You mean the
Void Swarm." Arya's expression turned serious. "That name fits. It is more than a swarm. It is hunger made real. Long ago, it passed through this part of space. We stopped it, barely." Dr. Vaughn asked, "How?" Arya looked at Jason. "Through unity.
A bond.
When two beings of different light come together, they create balance. Strength, power, no enemy can swallow." Jason remembered her words from before about kisses, energy, and connection. "You mean a fusion?" he whispered. Arya nodded. "But not with metal or fire, a fusion of spirit." Commander Brandt stepped forward. "What kind of power are we talking about?" Arya shook her head. "You cannot take it. You must become it. That is why we stopped sharing. Long ago, one human kissed, an Orthe. Their bond awakened something new, but the energy was too strong. It broke the balance. Our forests burned. Our people changed." Dr. Vaughn looked curious. "And the human?" "Transformed," Arya said. "Some say he became part of the stars. Others say he disappeared." Jason felt cold. "So if it happens again, it could save," Arya replied, "or destroy." The wind picked up. Leaves danced in glowing circles. The trees whispered. Jason took a breath. "You showed me a vision. I saw a war. I saw you and me standing under 3 moons. Was that real?" "It was one path," Arya said. "One future. Among many." Commander Brandt turned to the team. "We need to bring her in. Earth needs to study her." Jason stepped in front of Arya. "She came to help us, not to be a test subject." "She's not human," Brandt said coldly. "But she's alive," Jason said, "and she trusts me." The mist around them grew thicker. Arya closed her eyes. Enough. A wave of soft light pushed outward from her body. The soldiers' weapons powered down. Her scanners shut off. Forrest went silent. "I will not fight," she said, "but I will not be taken, Commander." Brandt opened his mouth, but couldn't speak. His voice was frozen. Arya had silenced him with a glance. She turned to Jason. "Time is short. If you wish to know the truth, come with me alone." Jason looked at the others, then nodded. He stepped beside her. "I trust you," he said. Arya held out her hand. "Then be ready. What I will show you may change what you are." Together they walked into the glowing mist. The soldiers stood still, unsure what they had just seen. Dr. Vaughn whispered, "He's gone with her." Commander Brandt finally spoke. "Then we follow." But it was too late. Jason and Arya were already beyond their reach. Jason followed Arya through the glowing forest, the air around them thick with mist and silent energy. Every step felt like entering a dream. The trees didn't just move with the wind, they moved with purpose, guiding them deeper. "Where are we going?" Jason asked quietly. "To the heart of Illyrinine," Arya said, her voice calm. "A place where truth is held." They reached a wide open space where the ground was made of glowing crystal. In the center stood a large structure, half buried in vines. It looked ancient but still alive. Light flowed along its surface like water. "This is the Temple of Knowing," Arya said. "Built by the first Orthe, long before memory."
Ouch.
Jason stepped inside with her. The walls shimmered. Strange symbols floated in the air, but somehow he could understand them. "It's speaking to me," he whispered. "Your mind is open," Arya replied. "You are feeling our memory." She walked to the center of the room and placed her. Hand on a stone altar, light burst upward. Jason saw images, humans and Orithei standing together, smiling. Then he saw destruction fire in the sky, forests falling, the planet crying out in pain. What happened? Jason asked, eyes wide. One human loved an Orithei, Arya said softly. They bonded fully. Their kiss unlocked something powerful. Too powerful. Jason watched as the images showed the pair glowing, their energy shaking the world. The fusion created a force that echoed beyond control, she said. They became more than life, but their world almost broke. Jason stepped back. Why are you showing me this? 'Cause the same light now lives in you, Arya said. When I touched you, I felt it. When you joked about a kiss, something answered inside the world. Jason felt a chill. Are you saying, if we connected like that, it would happen again? Maybe, she said. But this time, it may be needed. Jason sat down, hands on his knees. This is too much. I'm just a guy from Earth. I didn't ask for this. Arya knelt beside him. But the world chose you. It's just like it chose me. For a moment, they sat in silence. Then Jason spoke. Not just run. Hide. Because the void swarm does not stop, Arya said. It eats stars, planets, life. We need to wake the gate. Jason raised his eyebrows. Gate. A shield system, Arya explained. Buried deep in this planet, can protect the galaxy, but only a balanced pair can unlock it. Jason looked at her. You and me? Yes, she said. But only if your spirit is strong enough. To match mine? Before he could answer, an alarm on his wrist beeped. Red light flashed. A voice broke through the signal. Jason, the command team has sent drones. They're looking for you. They're armed. Jason stood up fast. They're coming. We have to go. But Arya didn't move. Let them come. Arya, I will not run anymore, she said. But I will protect you. Moments later, buzzing sounds filled the air. 3 drones flew into the temple, red lights blinking. Soldiers followed behind, weapons ready. Step away from the alien. Commander Brandt shouted. Jason stood in front of Arya. She hasn't done anything. She's dangerous, Brandt shouted. You're under her influence. No, Jason said. I made my choice. Brandt raised his hand. Take her. Of the soldiers fired a stun shot. Arya lifted her hand. A shield of blue light blocked the blast. The energy hit her palm and she absorbed it, but her glow dimmed. Arya, Jason cried, stepping to her side. She smiled weakly. It's all right. I'm still here. More soldiers entered. One aimed directly at Jason. Arya's eyes flared. She raised both hands. A pulse of light swept through the temple. The weapons all powered down at once. The walls shook. Enough. She said, voice louder now. No more harm. The soldiers froze. Commander Brandt growled. You just proved you're a threat. Jason said. She just saved us all. If she wanted to harm us, we'd already be gone. Arya turned. To Jason, this is the moment. You must choose. Jason looked at her glowing hand. Then at the humans behind him. His mind raced. Fear pulled him one way. Wonder pulled him another. Finally, he stepped forward and took her hand. I choose you, he said the moment there. Hands touched. The temple exploded in light. A beam shot into the sky. Crystals lit up across the forest. The ground shook gently, not in anger, but as if awakening. Jason felt warmth flow into his chest. His mind opened wide. He saw stars, timelines, futures. He saw himself not just as a man, but as something more. Arya's eyes met his. You've begun the change. Jason's voice trembled. What's happening to me? We're joining, she said. Our energy is becoming one. Commander Brandt shouted from behind, get away from her. But the soldiers couldn't move. The temple held them still. Jason's skin glowed. His body felt lighter, stronger. His thoughts were faster. He could feel Arya's heartbeat in his chest. I feel you, he whispered. Arya smiled. And I feel you. Then the light faded, and everything became quiet. Jason stood taller. His eyes now had a soft glow. Arya's glow returned brighter than before. They were different, now still themselves, but changed. The soldiers stared in shock. No one spoke. Jason turned to them. You wanted answers? Here's one. The galaxy needs more than weapons. It needs connection. Arya stepped beside him. We will face the shadow together. Commander Brandt lowered his weapon, stunned. He had no idea what he was looking at, and neither did Jason. But he was ready. The moment Jason and Arya joined, everything changed. The light, the power, the energy, it all flowed through him. And with it came the weight of a decision he hadn't even known was coming. Jason felt different, stronger, but also more vulnerable. The connection with Arya had opened something in him. He could feel her thoughts, not just her emotions, but her very essence, as if their minds were one. She wasn't just a person anymore. She was part of him. As the soldiers stood frozen, shocked by the power they'd just witnessed, Jason tried to steady himself. He turned to Arya, who was still glowing softly beside him. What's happening to us? He asked, his voice shaking slightly. Arya smiled, though her face was serious. You've begun the change, Jason. This bond between us is the beginning, but it is only the beginning. Jason took a deep breath. What does that mean? What happens next? Arya's eyes softened as she took a step closer. It means that you've embraced something ancient. Our people once lived in harmony with the stars, connected to all life through energy. But the power of our bond is unpredictable. If we can control it, we can awaken the gate, the shield that will protect this galaxy from the void swarm. But if we fail... She didn't finish her sentence. But Jason didn't need her to. If we fail, Jason repeated, the weight of the words sinking in. Arya's face hardened, and for a moment she looked as if she were lost in thought. Then she turned back to the soldiers. We have no time. The void swarm is already moving through space. It is drawing closer. Jason nodded. And we're the ones who have to stop it. Arya nodded slowly. But to activate the gate, you must be fully prepared. The fusion of your energy with mine is only a small part. You need to understand how the power works. Jason turned to the soldiers. They were still standing, unmoving, as though paralyzed by the shock of what had just happened. Commander Brandt was the first to speak. You've changed, Red, he said, his voice uncertain. I don't know what this is, but we need answers. Jason shook his head. You won't get them by forcing us to cooperate. We're not weapons. We're people. Al's eyes flashed with frustration, but he didn't move. He knew the situation was out of his hands. Arya stepped forward, her presence calming. Your weapons are useless against what is coming. We need more than just strength. We need balance. Jason stepped up beside her, his voice steady. Offering you something different, something more powerful than you can imagine. But you have to trust us. If you want to survive, you have to trust the process. Brandt's gaze shifted from Jason to Arya, and then to the rest of the soldiers. He clearly didn't know what to make of it all. The tension in the air was palpable. You want us to trust you, but how can we? How can we know you're not dangerous? Brandt asked, his voice tense. Jason sighed. I don't know how to prove it, but I can't walk away from this. None of us can. The void swarm won't stop. We're the last hope for this galaxy. Arya's eyes sparkled with a mixture of sadness and hope. What Jason says is true. You can fight what you don't understand. Or you can join us, and together, we can unlock the power to protect this universe. Jason felt her energy pulse in time with his own heartbeat, and for the first time, he truly understood what she meant. This wasn't about war or weapons. It was about connection, a deep, unbreakable bond. And it wasn't just between him and Arya. It was about humanity and the universe. Commander, Jason said, his voice firm. You have a choice. We can all be part of this, or you can continue fighting and risk losing everything. Brandt looked at him for a long moment. The decision was clear. The void was coming. They had no time left to hesitate. Finally, Brandt nodded. All right, we'll do it your way. Jason felt a wave of relief wash over him. The tension in the air seemed to ease, but the weight of the decision still pressed heavily on him. He was now part of something far bigger than himself. Arya turned to him, her expression softening. "Thank you, Jason. You've made the right choice." Jason took a deep breath, then looked at the soldiers. "We need to prepare. We don't have much time." Arya nodded. "You must take the next step together. The gate is not just a physical structure. It is a fusion of energy, of life. Only those who are fully aligned can open it. You must understand what that means before you try." Jason turned to Brant. "We need to gather all available resources. We can't do this alone." Brant nodded, his face grim. "I'll get the team ready." As the soldiers moved to prepare, Jason and Arya walked to the edge of the temple. The energy around them seemed to hum, as if the entire planet was alive with the same urgency they felt. "Do you think we're ready?" Jason asked, his voice low. Arya turned to face him. "Ready or not, the galaxy is waiting, but we are not alone in this. The stars, the energy, everything will guide us." Jason looked up at the sky, the stars just beginning to fade with the coming dawn. He knew that what lay ahead would be the hardest challenge of his life. But he wasn't afraid anymore. He wasn't just human anymore. He was something more. And with Arya beside him, he knew they could face anything. The galaxy was silent as Jason and Arya stood together, the weight of their decisions settling over them like a storm cloud. The temple's soft glow bathed them in light, but outside, the dark void pressed closer. The void swarm was on its way. Arya's presence was calming. But even her calm couldn't hide the urgency that pulsed in the air. The gate, the ancient system that could protect them, was locked deep beneath the planet. Only those truly bonded could unlock it. Jason felt the weight of the responsibility, not just for himself, but for all of humanity and the universe. "We're ready," Arya said softly, her hand resting on his arm. "But the final step requires more than just our connection. It requires you to understand." Jason nodded. "I understand. We need to be fully united, fully aligned to unlock the gate. But how?" Arya's glowing eyes met his. "The final key is not just physical, it's emotional. It's the union of energy, of spirit. The kiss you asked about, it wasn't a joke. It was the path." Jason swallowed hard. The thought of actually doing it, of fully connecting, scared him. But he knew there was no other choice. This wasn't just about them anymore. This was about saving everything. "If I do this," Jason said quietly, "what will happen to us?" To me, Arya's expression softened. "You will be more, but you will also become something different. It's a transformation. We will merge our energies, our beings. But in return, we will unlock the power to protect this world." Closed his eyes for a moment, gathering his thoughts. This was the moment, the one he had been preparing for. The answer to a question he hadn't even realized he was asking all along. Could he truly let go of everything he knew and become part of something greater? He opened his eyes and met Arya's gaze. She was waiting, her face calm, but her eyes full of understanding. "I'm ready," Jason said, his voice steady. "Do it." Arya smiled softly and stepped closer. She lifted her hand, gently touching his cheek, sending a wave of warmth through him. Jason felt her energy, her essence like a pulse that mirrored his own. He took a deep breath, feeling the connection between them strengthen. There was no fear now, only trust. "Are you sure?" Arya whispered, her voice barely audible. Jason nodded. "I'm sure." With that, Arya leaned in, her lips brushing against his. The moment their lips met, the entire temple seemed to light up. A surge of energy flooded through them both, as if the stars themselves were watching, waiting. Jason felt his body change, his mind expand. The bond between him and Arya was no longer just an idea, it was reality. They were one, their energies fused, their spirits united. Jason felt a flood of emotions. Arya's hopes, her fears, the love she had for her world, and the deep responsibility she carried. At the same time, he felt his own heart, his own soul, opening to hers. It was like everything he had ever felt. Every joy and every pain was amplified 1,000 times. But instead of overwhelming him, It made him feel stronger, more connected to the universe than ever before. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the energy burst into a brilliant light. The temple shook, and the ground trembled beneath them. Jason could hear a distant rumble, like the sound of the earth itself waking up. "The gate," Arya whispered, her voice filled with awe. Jason opened his eyes, and the world around him shifted. The crystal walls of the temple glowed brighter, and a pathway of light appeared in front of them. It led down into the depths of the planet, where the gate lay hidden. Arya stepped back, still holding his hand. "It's time." Together, they descended into the glowing tunnel, the light growing brighter with each step they took. As they reached the bottom, they found a massive stone door. It was covered in intricate symbols and markings, ancient and powerful. This was the gate locked, waiting for them to unlock it. Jason felt the connection between him and Arya pulse with power. He could feel the energy in the air, the energy in his body, ready to activate the gate. Arya turned to him, her eyes full of determination. "Now, Jason, the final step." Jason stepped forward and placed his hand on the door. Immediately, the symbols began to glow, reacting to his touch. But something was missing. He looked at Arya, confusion in his eyes. "We need to be fully aligned," she said softly, her voice full of certainty. "We must combine our energy. Together." Jason nodded. With a deep breath, he reached for Arya. She stepped closer, and they stood together in front of the gate, their hands found each other, and the moment their fingers touched, a surge of energy passed between them. The light from the gate blazed brighter, and the symbols on the door began to shift, rearranging themselves. The earth shook, but this time it was not a tremor of fear. It was the awakening of power, of life, of hope. Jason and Arya stood together, their bodies glowing with energy, their minds completely intertwined. They were no longer separate. They were one. Their love, their bond had unlocked the gate. The universe had responded, with a final surge of power. The massive stone door slowly opened, revealing the heart of the Gaetan immense chamber filled. With glowing energy, the light filled the air, swirling around them. And Jason felt it, the power, the protection, the balance. It was the shield that would protect the galaxy from the void swarm. Jason looked at Arya. For the first time, he truly understood. This wasn't just about saving one planet, one race. It was about saving everything life, light, and love. Universe had answered their call, as the light from the gate poured out into the stars. Jason knew that their bond, their connection, would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. Together they had changed everything.